Hello students, today we will do the Gauss law and its significance. The Gauss law was discussed in the previous lecture and we arrived the conclusion that the flux linked with a closed surface is equal to summation q upon epsilon naught, where summation q was the charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So summation q should only be equal to the charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So say if I take one closed surface having the charge plus q1 minus q2, q4, q3 is outside, then this can be written as summation q should be written as q1 plus of minus q2 because the charge is negative plus q4 upon epsilon naught only. So this was that we have not taken q3. Now we will prove why summation q is taken equal to the charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So first we will assume a closed surface, and for example we are taking the closed surface to be cylinder. So let us consider a cylinder of length L and radius R. Now before we find out the flux linked with this cylinder by placing it in the electric field, we will see this cylinder is made up of three closed surface. So these two are called the cross sections of the cylinder, that we know these are the cross section, and this portion is referred as the curved part or the curved surface. So this is the curved surface and this are also the surface of a cylinder, but they are called as the cross sections. So these are the cross sections of the cylinder. So whenever we take a cylinder, we have to divide it into three parts. We have two cross sections and one curved surface. And we have also seen when we have to apply the Gauss law, the entire surface has to be divided into the small elements. Now how the small elements or Gaussian elements are made? Suppose I take this cross section. So for this cross section, the elements are drawn like this. These are the elements. The entire cross section is divided. So if I take this element, area vector will be normal to it. If I take this element, this will be the normal. This element, this will be the normal. This element, this is delta S vector. So this is how the cross section is assumed to be divided into small element. Same thing happened with this cross sections. These are its elements. And we know that normal to the surface is the direction of the area vector. So these are the area vectors of different elements. Now let us see this curved surface. This curved surface elements are made like this. So this is how the entire curved surface is divided into the small elements. Now each area vector will be normal to this curved surface. So the cylinder is divided into three parts. Now let us see why we have to take only the charge which are enclosed in the Gaussian surface. Suppose a closed surface is placed in a uniform electric field. First we will prove that when any closed surface is placed in a uniform electric field, any closed surface, here we will take a cylinder. Now if this cylindrical surface or closed surface is placed in uniform electric field, the resultant flux linked with the closed surface comes out to be 0. Now a cylinder is placed in this electric field. This is the cylinder placed in a uniform electric field, and uniform electric field is taken along the x-axis. So this is the electric field intensity along the x-axis. We will prove that flux linked with this closed surface is 0. In other words, we can also say flux is the number of field lines passing through unit area. Whatever number of the field lines enter through this surface, for example here 2 field lines, then that much field lines emerge from it. But it is not that the field lines passes through it. We will see this in next chapter what happened, because the electric field will not pass through this closed surface. There is some theory related to it. For the time being, I am denoting this by a dotted line. The field lines is passing through. Now the first step, the cylinder is divided into 3 portions, 2 cross sections and 1 curved surface. Let us take one small element. Now the area element of this is delta S vector. Similarly, if I take the element here, delta S vector will be at this side. So this is first region, cross section, second is a curved region, and third is again cross section. Now let us see what is the flux linked with this cross section. So flux is equal to E vector dot delta S vector. Now for this, the electric field is along x-axis, so I write the magnitude, direction I cap, S vector, magnitude delta S, direction is opposite to that is minus I. I dot I is 1, so it becomes minus E delta S. This is equation number 1. Flux linked with the second region, that is a curved portion. Now the element of this is delta S. This is the area vector. Now again E dot delta S, again E I cap dot area vector of this comes out along the y-axis. So I write delta S J cap. I dot J, it is 0. So that is equation number 2. Third, again cross section. So this is E dot delta S, that is equal to EI minus, dot delta SI. Again the direction is same. I dot I 1. So this is equal to E delta S. Third equation. So this is how the cylinder is divided into 3 regions, and the flux linked with each region is formed by these equations. Now the total flux is phi1 plus phi2 plus phi3. Now if I add this is 0, this is minus E delta S, this is plus E delta S. So total comes out to be 0. So one thing is, whenever we place a closed surface inside a uniform electric field, the resultant flux or the total flux comes out to be 0. Now let us see, we have a point charge plus Q. Now if I take any closed surface, then the electric field lines will emerge radially outward. So if I say, what is the flux linked with this closed surface? So directly phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. If I take minus q, then the field lines are going radially inward. Then the flux will be minus q upon epsilon naught. So if the flux or the field lines are emerging outward, the flux comes out to be positive, and if the field lines are radially inward, the flux comes out to be negative. In a closed surface, if I take a dipole, say plus q minus q, this is a dipole what we have done NaCl, say. Now if, say example, 4 field lines emerge from it, then the magnitude of the charge are equal. So field lines 4 will be radially inward. Or if I apply the Gauss law, phi will be equal to summation q upon epsilon naught. That will be equal to q plus of minus q upon epsilon naught. So answer comes out to be 0. So if a charge enclosed is positive, flux is positive. Charge enclosed negative, flux is negative. If there are two equal and opposite charges, the flux comes out to be 0. So this is what we are taking the charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. Now suppose I take plus q, say q1, and another charge q2 outside. Now if, let us say, field lines are emerging from it, 4 or 5, 6, anything. Now for this charge is outside. Now whatever amount of field lines enter from this surface, same amount of field lines emerge out for this. So flux linked with this q2 comes out to be 0, and your flux will be written as simply q1 upon epsilon naught. Because for outside, so if I draw separately q2, say 2 field lines or 3 field lines passes through the surface. So 3 field lines enter and 3 field lines emerge. So resultant comes out to be 0, because if I take this area vector in this direction, it comes out to be plus. Field lines is x-axis, say delta z is also, delta s is also same direction. But if I take the area element here, it is in opposite direction. So here it will be flux phi1, say, for this the flux is phi2. So resultant of phi1 plus phi2 comes out to be 0. Or you have to remember that whatever amount of field lines enter from one surface, the same amount of the field lines emerge from the other surface. So flux linked is 0. So what is conclusion from the Gauss law? That we have there's 3 pairs of equation. The flux can be written as integration E dot ds if delta s tends to 0. If delta s does not tends to 0, the flux can also be written as E dot delta s. This is the equation for limit delta s tends to 0. Now, according to Gauss law, this is also summation q upon epsilon naught. Say let this equation be 1, and this is the surface integration. Now we will see the significance of the Gauss law, or what we have to remember while applying the Gauss law. There are 3 pairs of equation, 1, 2, and this is 3. Now the first noteworthy point about the Gauss law is that the Gauss law does not depend on the shape and the size of the Gaussian surface. We have seen that by proving flux is equal to summation q upon epsilon naught, we have taken the Gaussian surface to be spherical of radius r. But in the final answer, there is no term related with the shape and the size of the sphere. So the first point is Gauss law does not depend on the shape and size of Gaussian surface. So first, when you apply the Gauss law, you have to take an imaginary Gaussian surface. So Gaussian surface is an imaginary, and we try to take this surface in such a way that charge should be enclosed inside it. Second, now while applying this pair of equation, that is, while using equation phi is equal to summation q upon epsilon naught, we will consider only those charges which are enclosed in Gaussian surface. So again, the same thing I am saying. Say charge enclosed is Q1, Q2, Q3 is outside. So if both are positive, the field lines will emerge from this closed surface. And for this, whatever field lines enter from one surface, same amount of field lines emerge from the other surface. So flux linked with this Q3 comes out to be 0. So while applying this formula, flux will be written as phi is equal to Q1 plus Q2 upon epsilon naught. If one of these charge is negative, you take a negative sign. So this is the formula. Say this is Q1, Q2 and Q3 is outside. So while applying this equation, you have to consider only the charge enclosed. However, while using equation phi is equal to integration E dot ds, say for the same diagram, I have to consider the electric field of all the charges, whether they are enclosed inside the surface or they are outside. So while using this equation, we have to consider the electric field or electric field intensity, electric field of all charges, whether they are enclosed in Gaussian surface or they are outside it. So while you apply this equation, this electric field intensity should be taken of all the three charges. All three charges are the source. So if I have to find out, suppose I take same Gaussian surface Q1, Q2, Q3. Now I have to find out the electric field intensity at point P. So to find out the electric field intensity at point P, all three are considered as a source. So its field line will also pass through this point P. Its field line will also pass through it. We know that two field lines can never intersect each other, but this effect will also be seen through this point P. So all the three sources will contribute to this point P when we have to find out the electric field intensity. So if we have to find out electric field intensity or the flux, you will consider all the charges as a source, whether they are inside or outside the Gaussian surface. So you have to remember these 2 points. While applying this pair, only take charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. While taking this, only take the electric field intensity of all the charges. Same thing apply to this. Electric field of all charge, summation q of only charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. Again, fourth point that we have discussed, to apply the Gauss law, we have to imagine a closed surface and it is named as Gaussian surface. So, an imaginary surface we consider to apply Gauss law is called Gaussian surface. To apply Gauss law is called Gaussian surface. So this is an imaginary surface which we consider to apply the Gauss law. It is called Gaussian surface. Now what you have to remember about this is, while you consider the Gaussian surface, while we consider let me write this, when we consider Gaussian surface, we should take care that it should not pass through discrete charge. It should not pass through discrete charge because discrete charge means one, two charges, few charges, and continuous charge distribution, when the number of charges tends to infinite and distance between the charges tends to 0. So suppose these are the discrete charges, say 2 charges. So I will not consider the Gaussian surface such that it passes through these discrete charges, because when we move towards or away from the discrete charge, the electric field intensity changes very fast. It may increase very fast or it may decrease very fast. E is inversely proportional to the square of distance. So the electric field intensity variation is very large or small. So we should take care that Gaussian surface should not pass through a discrete charges, though it may pass through continuous charge distribution. So I am writing continuous charge distribution as CCD. Don't use this short form. So when we consider Gaussian surface, we should take care that it should not pass through discrete charges, though it may pass through continuous charge distribution. So first thing is, you have to consider one surface, imaginary surface. It is a Gaussian surface, and we are again saying that it should be in such a way that the charge should be enclosed inside the surface. But sometime we will consider the Gaussian surface that it pass through a continuous charge distribution, though it should not pass through the discrete charge distribution. Then the fifth point, the Gauss law also obey the inverse square law, because it depends on the electric field intensity or it depends on Coulomb's law. So the Gauss law obey inverse square law. So we have to remember this, that the Gauss law is obeying the inverse square law. And the last, what we have written earlier also, Gauss law is used to find electric field intensity due to some symmetry. We will try to understand this point while studying the application of the Gauss law. So there are 3-4 applications of the Gauss law. So we will see it will be easier to apply the Gauss law to find out the electric field intensity as compared to the Coulombian law or the superposition principle. So it is not that Gauss law is always used to find out the flux. It is widely used to find out the electric field intensity, and it will be easier as compared to Coulomb's law or a superposition principle to find out the electric field intensity. So that we will see in this application of the Gauss law. So this is what we have for a Gauss law and its application. In the next lecture, we will do the numerical related to the Gauss law. Have a good day.